So Martha is telling me the husband was one of the taxis hired to trace me. So they believe my life is in danger. I need to go out and meet the husband whom she had left in a coffee house. The husband thought he could be followed, so he didn't want to come out. He wanted me to go to the coffee house. And we left. When we went to the coffee house, he related to me all the places I had been in the 2 days.
Wow.
And I knew it was true.
Martha, part 6, take 1.
Okay.
The importance of activism. We are now seeing the fruits of it years later. If you and the team didn't do what it is that you did, the LSK would be a very different organization today. And look at the impact that it is having today with the current president.
Yes.
Ooh, by the way, please, I think we need her on CTA soon. She's doing such an amazing job. Yeah. So where does the tell me a little bit about being in the council, and then continue with the story.
Let me say this. I believe I was the first woman to be on the council of the Law Society.
Wow.
But the Law Society was quite progressive because the secretary to the Law Society was a woman at that time.
That was progressive.
And a very tough woman. When I came into private practice, I found that lady there.
Yeah.
And being the only woman in the council, you can understand the judge now telling me to give room to Abisha, the lawyer for the other side. And as things would have it, I've said the fine was paid by the people. And
did you continue to work as usual?
We continued with the activism, even after that sentence. And at the same time, things are happening in the country. Koigi, who had been living away in Norway, is arrested and arraigned in court for treason.
What?
Along with lawyer Miroge Kariuki, the late from Nakuru, Rumba Kenodia, who was my classmate in law, and several others. And people are afraid to appear for him. So,
but people were talking about lawyers.
Yeah. Koigi is represented by lawyer Japheth Shamala, who was a PS, fell out with Moi, was dropped, and has now started a law practice. So he's the one who goes to represent Koigi. Miroge is sent to my office by a senior lawyer, and Miroge's wife. And I'm upset that the senior lawyer has declined and shoved them to my office, like I'm the one without a life. Because, you understand everybody is afraid of taking on the case. So I took on Miroge's case because I thought turning away the lawyer, the wife, I'll be doing a disservice to a colleague who needs representation and a disservice to the wife who is in distress. So I took on the case. I became Miroge's lawyer. And Dr. John Kaminwa was the only senior lawyer with us, other than now Shamala, who has left, whatever, acting for Rumba Kenodia. Okay? So Dr. John Kaminwa was actually our guide. He's the senior lawyer in that. No sooner do we appear for the treason suspects than the Kanu newspaper, Kenya Times, publishes a headline, "Criminals under the guise of lawyers." What? So we are being called criminals, that we are associating with the treason people and all that. Dr. John Kaminwa used to tell me that we are going to defeat these people with a motion. You file a motion in court. So he would advise we file as many applications. So if they ever get to arrest us, they'll be arresting the lawyers of the accused. That way the injustice will play itself. Yeah.
You said something. This is
and later Kaminwa was to be detained.
First and foremost, you said Kanu newspaper.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Kanu had a newspaper, Kenya Times. you know, was a KANU paper.
Man.
Yeah, there was The Nation, The Standard, and there was Kenya Times, the KANU.
So
you
Kenya
could
Times
even
was
call
owned
it,
by the state.
You can even call it KANU Times.
So it was a propaganda machine.
It was terrible.
Wow, that's the importance of the, is it called the fifth estate?
Yeah.
The media being independent.
Yeah. But I can assure you, The Nation and Standard, that particular media was an ally in the fight for enlarged democratic space and for human rights. The media is a very, very important component in the war. Yeah, so Kenya Times may have veered towards the state.
Yes.
We had two, the most authoritative being on the people's side.
Okay.
KBC too may have veered towards the state, but we had other two.
Yeah.
And during that era, KTN came up.
Yes.
Although KTN was owned by the same KANU operatives, it had an independent voice because it was aligned to CNN International. So the KBC would start with Mutukufu, Rais Daniel Arap Moi, and KTN would start that 12 or so many lawyers have said so and so. So we used to be headlines in the Standard, in the KTN, while KANU is headlines on the other. So the media actually propelled us to become household names because of the activism.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
This is 89. That we have not yet.
90.
90, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
90s.
Actually, KTN, I think even came in 92, but still.
No, not 92.
90, yeah?
It's around 1991. Just
okay, it's okay, it's fine. So, but here's the question.
Yeah.
The country has not yet gone to multipartyism.
Yeah.
Meaning, you are going against the country.
We are criticizing Moi head to head.
So
he issues a statement.
You're not scared for your life.
We were, but just like a youth of today, the youth are the daring. You see, I have two young children. One born during those days of mentoring activism. So in 90, my son is born in 88, is getting to 2. Is 2. And my daughter is 4. Yeah. So later 92, when I'm running for office, they are 4 and 6.
Okay.
So these are children born in very hot political times, and they are now living through the Gen Z demonstrations.
Was there were there threats over your life?
Yes. Actually, they had plotted to abduct me. I was to know later. What happened is that there was one early morning, a lady I had acted for in a criminal case called Martha from South B came to my office and told me the husband is a taxi driver and they had been arrested the previous night at, what is it called? I'm forgetting, Pan-Afric. And that I was at Pan-Afric, which was true. We were with Kina Moite, Manyara, and the others. We used to meet to plot what to do the next day.
So they knew your movements.
You see? So they said that the husband had been hired by police. There were 2 taxis and one was the husband's. And they were waiting for me because they'd been tailing my car for 2 days.
Wow.
That was the second day, and because I would lose them in traffic, they said I was a very bad driver, I would lose them in traffic. So they wanted to know my home. The police were coming to search. But you don't tell a person to search. It means they would have come to plant something in my house and then claim a publication and then claim they have found the publication or whatever they were trying to do. Or abduct me and go and brutalize me, or I be found in a forest thrown there. Whatever they were plotting was evil. So while at Pan-Afric waiting for me to tell me on my way home, to corner me on my way home, because there were 2 taxis, police were moving from one taxi to another, therefore alerting the suspicion of the security at the Pan-Afric. So Pan-Afric had called Kilimani police to say there are thugs in their compound. And police had come with a lorry and blocked the entrance, arrested the 2 taxis, That was before we left, so we didn't know. And these people had slept in the cells. The next morning, a call from State House got them released. These police officers, there were 3 in number. The taximen were 2, but the police officers were 3. 2 in one taxi, 1 alone. They were claiming that they had been sent by State House. None of them was from Kilimani. They were from industrial area. And the OCPD Kilimani had detained them because in police protocol, you cannot leave your division and go to another division without the 2 commanders talking. So even though they showed their cards, they were arrested and put in the cells.
What are you doing in this jurisdiction?
But in the morning, they were able to communicate with State House, and State House called and they were released. Meaning, the order to abduct or arrest me was from State House. So they were released without charge. In Kilimani was a lady police officer who used to be my prosecutor when I was in the court. Corporal A. I'll call her Corporal A. I don't have to reveal her
Anonymous.
name.
A for anonymous.
Oh, because it's a long time now, I can say Agnes. So Agnes also comes to my office in the morning just like Martha. So Martha is telling me the husband was one of the taxis hired to trace me. So they believe my life is in danger. I need to go out and meet the husband whom she had left in a coffee house. The husband thought he could be followed, so he didn't want to come out. He wanted me to go to the coffee house. And we left. When we went to the coffee house, he related to me all the places I had been in the 2 days. And I knew it was true. And I was grateful to them. They went home, but they wanted me to know that I'm under threat. As I settled back in my office, who comes in, Corporal Agnes? Agnes tells me she is stationed at Kilimani these days, and she tells me this is what happened. You know, it's not as though she knows Martha has already come. She tells me these people, she's the one who reveals that they've been released because State House has called. Someone from State House. She told me, be very careful. You know, she felt I was in danger, and she said, if these people have abducted you, God knows what would have happened. So she's just coming to warn me. I go and tell my colleagues, and together with lawyer Firoz Noroji, Moite and the others, we issued a statement. Now Firoz is the lawyer now for us as the Law Society people and for me to tell the government. And first it was by way of a letter to the police commissioner, to the director of CID, and to Moi through Harambee House, to tell them should anything, this and this happened yesterday, because they were trying to abduct me. To tell them should anything happen to me or members of my family, they are to blame. We distributed that statement even to human rights groups worldwide. You know, that insulates you because everybody knows that they are on your case. It's Firoz who advised us that the only way to kill this is to make sure it's as publicized as possible, and also to foreign embassies who are interested in human rights in Kenya. So that is how my colleagues and I insulated ourselves.
But does that put a chip on your back? Does that mean now you're walking, you see a car followed you for 3 minutes? Does it unstable your equilibrium?
No, I think youthfulness is everything. I understand the Gen Z, and I salute them for stepping into the role, because I was not at all concerned. Even in the case for the Law Society, when we were under threat of actually being jailed, I had just trained my children, related to them, because you have to tell them like a story. Children of 2 and 4 cannot understand jail. I just told them there was this called Moi, who may take me away and, you know, not release me for a long time, and that if they don't see me home, to obey their auntie, now my younger sister, to obey my auntie, to their auntie, to wait, I'll be back, you know, that kind of thing. Because we actually were on the verge of being jailed. And I remember going out of the country sometime in 1990, sponsored by the US Embassy through USAID on a program of a visitors program for a month when the case was still on. And at the end of that, it was called criminal justice system. So I went as a young lawyer. They pick people who have shown leadership qualities, and they sort of like predict the next crop of leaders. So I was taken round, and when it ended in a month, because they knew my story, they asked whether I want to be a voluntary visitor for another week. They take me to human rights organizations around the US. So I went to Human Rights Watch in New York. I went to Columbia University, where they had a human rights program. I went around. I went to the Kennedy Foundation. I went to several offices, you know, and to the State Department to campaign for Kenya, you know, to highlight the dangers we were facing. So even before the demonstration in Harare, we are lobbying through letters, through faxes, and I took advantage of that tour of the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
For context, in 1990, if you're born in 57, you are 33.
Yeah.
So you're young. This is, you are in the mix of things. You are about to exit Gen Z into millennial, but...
Yeah, in fact, I was going now to be 33, end of that year, September of that year. But I went when I was 33 already, because I went December. No, December was a second. I went to receive a prize in December. I had gone earlier. I had gone in June.
If it's 1990, for me, something very big stands out. And maybe
you were born or something?
Is that the beginning of Saba Saba?
Yeah.
And Saba Saba being a pivotal turning point in this country. But on your story, do those two merge? Do those two? You know why I love
even
your story?
Even Saba Saba, I was part of it, but I never went to Kamukunji for fear of being arrested and molested in the cells. So I stayed behind.
Okay.
You know, women carried different risks.
Yes.
So I didn't.
And as you rightfully told us what was happening in campus. The rapes and the abuse.
I didn't go to Saba Saba.
Okay.
I stayed behind.
I want, even when I saw this Gen Z movement, I saw 7 days of Saba Saba. That word coming back is such a powerful word. My grandfather was actually part of the movement of that Saba Saba.
See, I remember.
A very pivotal...
Those were the politicians. Kenneth Matiba, Charles Robia,